be is a character that is able to go to the auction house, trade with other players, and essentially become whatever he wears. Where you are what you wear kind of philosophy. But in order for us to go around the elephant in the room of, well, if there's no progressions in this, if there's no levels, then how do you progress in this game? It's all done through base building. It is done through crafting. As you can see, I'm building up my comfort. I'm building up my capacity. I'm placing down more and more refining stations. And I'm also placing down higher upgrades and higher tiers of resource refining and resource crafting so I can get better gear, which I will then equip. And that will basically be my baseline. That will be my level, essentially. Yeah. I don't know if that makes sense. I hope it does. But basically, your base is your character's progression. And essentially cohabiting with other players essentially means that we share progression in that way.
Yeah, I mean, that makes a ton of sense. I love how this, I can't remember, I think it was one of the spaces you guys described it as Valheim meets Animal Crossing, and I totally see what you mean now. So what about for the combat? Is it primarily PvEs, or are there going to be PvP systems in the game also?
Yeah, so in the nearest plans, we have strong focus on PvE component and cooperative PvE. PvP is not planned. PvP is in plans for post-release. We do believe that there should be PvP in MMO RPG, but we also understand that this is not the core mechanic and core gameplay. So you might expect that in the future updates, but not very soon.
Gotcha, understood. So you guys mentioned Valheim a lot. Is there going to be like also like dungeons and bosses or anything like that in the game?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, go on.
Yeah, Tom, you're better at this.
So I'm actually the person, that designs the bosses. So we finally got the first boss into the early access, and I've just very quickly put on some things to reprocess, which is what I'm going to need to craft this armor here. But long story short, there is a boss now, and it took a long time to make, but we're really happy to show them, and people that will be getting into the early access, I hope you guys will find them. Essentially, the way the encounters work is on the larger islands, especially islands that have dungeons, caves, places for you to explore underground, there can be a chance to encounter these bosses. Bosses are very similar to what you might expect from the standard bosses in Valheim or Dark Souls. They might have phases based on the HP that they have. They have different move sets based on the phases. They will have a mixture of ranged attacks, AoE attacks, and they will have a lot of different mechanics in terms of, DPS checks or HP check or gear checks. For example, the boss that we have currently in the game is a forest golem, and he is sort of filled with this corrosive infernal fire. And in the second phase, he will immolate himself and start burning players around him. Now, essentially, that is basically always ticking down on your HP, taking away some of your HP, allowing players, basically forcing players to have decent gear in order to be able to tackle that boss. So you will not be able to solo a boss just for skill alone. You will have to use cooperation, you will have to develop your base, and you will have to progress. This isn't the kind of thing where you can just level 1, blitz through the game. You will have to correctly build your characters in order to access these more difficult bosses, take them down, and get more valuable rewards from them.
So you mentioned that for the character progression, you don't have like a character level or like a class level per se, but you progress through crafting. So is there going to be different like levels for the dungeons? Like how does progression work there? Do you need like a certain level in your weapon in order to be eligible for a certain dungeon, or how did that work?
That's a really, really good question. So I just crafted a piece of armor, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk back. And I'm going to interact with the world map, and hopefully that will answer your question very nicely. But shortly put, as you can see in the sort of map, we have tier 1, or level 1, sorry. We have tiers and levels for gears, but the islands and the locations are split up into levels. So right now we're looking at the first level, and as you can see, the difficulty here is tier 1. And this is the possible loot, and you can see that all of these islands are totally randomized in size. And by the time you get to tier 2 of level 1, you can even choose bigger islands where you will be able to finally encounter these dungeons. But then what if we go to level 2? see, we haven't even unlocked this yet, and we need to put in some essences. Once again, essences will come from you just exploring the game, naturally playing, completing interactive content. I've just given myself a bunch of essences, but this will come much slower for players that are, playing this for real when the early access period unlocks. I'm going to unlock this now, and as you can see, this will now not only cost more money, this will cost the level 2 tier 2 resource. So it's this gentle progression of you getting to more advanced islands where there will be harder enemies. There will be the variety of the enemies will be different, and the visual aspect of the enemies will be different as well, to signalize that they have been scaled up. So I'm just going to quickly go into, let's go to a quite big island for tier 1. Once again, keep in mind, we're level 1 tier 1, so we're not exactly ready to start taking on level 2 yet, though I can show you that later on. And hopefully this time you'll see that the enemies have been scaled up a little bit. There will be a more sort of larger variety of them, and the dungeons for the bosses and stuff, they will be scaled appropriately to the the island and the experience you selected during that map, if that makes sense. So you will essentially select the difficulty that you want to engage with. Whether or not you are ready for that, that is entirely up to you. But the payment is upfront, and you will want to essentially make a return on your investment, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So as you can see, I'm doing. Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but what I want to show you right now is we are having level 1 club, and we are basically in level 1 tier 1 gear. We're fighting against level 1 tier 2 bandit, but we are doing decent damage. But if you can see, the UI element is red next to the damage number. That is showing us that our weapon is not efficient against him, and it's the game is even telling you to try and get a more powerful weapon because we're doing reduced damage to these enemies. So there will come a point where you will need to dress appropriately for these adventures. And it's taken me a while to even take down this bandit, which is fine. I'm going to be able to do it. We don't want to penalize players entirely for, skipping a tier. But if you skip a level, for example, forget it. You are not ready, and you will need to spend some more time progressing your base and getting better gear in order to take on these challenges.
Gotcha. So you mentioned item levels. I'm assuming there's also like item rarities. What's your guys' rarity system look like for items?
Andrew, maybe you can handle this.
Sure. So for each level and for each tier, if you get lucky, you can craft a better quality, better rarity item out of the same recipe. That the rarity system is, since we are partnered with openloot, we decided not to invent a bicycle, and we have similar rarity tiers to those that are in place in openloot. So up to 10 different rarities, and the gear that you craft could be anywhere from like common to higher rarity tiers that will result in increased stats, increased durability, and some special perks that could be found on the item.
Awesome. So you guys talked a little bit about multiplayer and PvP. Is there going to be much content or options in terms of like a single player experience?
Yeah, so as we start the early access, the only part where players will be able to see each other and interact is the capital city. I think Tom will be able to show us this as he's finished with this adventure that he's into. But
let me just speed on this. Yeah.
Most of the content will be single player only, and the multiplayer features will be added along the way as we roll out the updates for the game. So that includes not only collective shared progression on player islands, but also trade mechanics, friends mechanics, party system that will allow you to go to adventure together with your friends to be able to fight more difficult bosses and get to the places where you won't be able to get alone.
So as you can see, I have come to an adventure which is far too difficult for me. I could spend hours trying to get through this, but essentially I was not ready. I was just trying to demonstrate the difficulty scaling. But this is no problem because the exit to the adventure is the crystal, which is the entire travel system. So if I'm not ready, I can just nope out, run across all the enemies, and touch the other crystal.
Chasing you all the way back there. Is there like a aggro range where they
Oh
eventually?
yeah, absolutely. No. So the enemies will break line of sight with you. I'm gonna need to craft some better gear, won't I? And there is a limit as well to how far they will chase you. So yeah, they will not follow you around everywhere. That shouldn't be a problem.
Gotcha. I mean, I wouldn't be mad if it was. I grew up playing old school EverQuest where you trained mobs all the way to the zone line. So
yeah. What was it? The town, right? Let's show the town. You're right.
So the capital city is the place where you will be able to find a lot of NPCs, pick up some quests, and first of all, meet and see other players. For now, it's not that much populated, but as we with the next future updates, there will be more and more content and functionality and NPCs in the capital city that you can interact with. And it's not the whole city. You can see the staples somewhere nearby that basically represent the border of the city that will be expanded as we will move on with development of the game. So there are some vendors here and some points of interest, but
of note, there is definitely this vendor here which sells you some of the more important items for alchemy and cooking. A lot of the Valheim players will remember that food is extremely important in that game. It gives you more max HP. We have the same system here, very similar, where essentially in order for you to progress to more difficult islands, you will require better recipes. So cooking and alchemy is it's not mandatory, but it's very heavily advised in order to make your life easier. And the second person I want to highlight is this librarian, one of my favorite characters because he's such an intellectual snob. He will give you blueprints for crafting. So this is what we will need in order to get new weapons. So claws, great swords, we have war hammers, or great hammers as they're known in the game, sword and shield, dual axes, and many more to come. But these are the kind of things that we can complete daily quests. We can increase the reputation with them, increasing the chance for higher level blueprints. And then we will be able to take these blueprints found in our inventory and use them at crafting stations, which I've already showed you, in order to craft different kinds of weapons with different abilities, better damage, different stats, and higher rarities as well, with more modifiers. Yeah, these are the two ones, and there's also fences and other different guild members. And just in general, the ambience and the vibe of, running around and experiencing the NPCs going about their daily life. Maybe a cat that's fallen asleep here in the rose garden. It's not a rose, is it? But you know what I mean, the flower gardens. And just in general, we will hope the players in this part of the map will be able to socialize. It's very important for us. The reason I think World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy XIV especially was such successful MMOs is because they really facilitated the socialization of new players. People to meet new people, engage in cooperation, not through Discord or real life friends, but through the game. It is critical and vital to MMO success. And this is the place where we hope players will be able to meet, emote, interact, form parties, maybe invite people to cohabit with them in their islands, and just in general have a social experience in our game. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit more about the early access release you guys have planned. Like I see you guys are on Steam. Is the early access going to be available on Steam also, or how's that going to work?
Yeah, so in regards to the Steam, initially we decided that we want to address both audiences, and by both I mean Web 2 and Web 3 audiences. It's not a secret that many of Web 2 gamers are having hard times appreciating Web 3 games. I think that's temporary. But for the time being, we decided that we would be having two versions of the game. One of which we will be offering player ownership of their assets, tradability, and everything that Web3 has to offer to gaming. And for those who find it unattractive, we will have Web2 version, free to play, available on Steam. That is very same game, but main difference would be an ability to trade items, collectible items specifically, on the marketplace. And this way, we hope that each player of these two audiences will be able to pick what suits them most. Because we really do believe and are hard at work to make the game fun to play, regardless of what version of the game you are playing.
So for us Web3 friendly and native gamers, when are you guys going to be having your first sale for people?
Yeah, so the early access that we have announced, the early access we have announced right now is Web3 version early access. The Steam version will be become available later on, and the early access for Web3 version in partnership with openloot is planned to start February 26th. To get access to the game, you will need to have either the early access key or one of the founders' islands that are going on sale February 15th. You can actually already find the contents of the sale on openloot. It's out there. So whoever gets keys or founder items will be able to access the game first. And we're really excited.
Are there going to be, like, how many people will be allowed in the first wave of early access? And
so the maximum number based on number of keys and founder islands put for sale that we could count is 1,800 people, if all of the islands and all of the keys will be used. And after some time, we will definitely be increasing the amount of keys available, as well as some other founders' items can be introduced in future sales. But the first batch of players is limited to 1,800 people.
And what all comes with those keys or islands besides just the early access?
Yeah, so the keys are given just early access, and that's it. When it comes to founder islands, they do have some additional perks and attributes that players will get with them. And there are 3 of them, actually. First is unique look. I'm not sure if Tom will be able to showcase us some of the islands that are that would be available for sale. Tom, do you think you could showcase us some of the islands that are going to for sale soon?
I can only show you the ones on the website. I will not be able to show you them in game, unfortunately. Okay. I'm sorry for that.
Okay, so yeah, founders islands will be, first of all, having unique design and unique look, looking completely different from the basic island that every player having access to the game will have. On top of that, Tom already featured the capacity attribute that is defining how much you can build on the specific island. And any founder island will be having increased capacity that will end up you being able to build more on this island, whether it would be like production facilities, refineries, or just your beautiful mansion. And the third thing that would be given some perks in future is artifact slots that would be defining how many artifacts you can install on next to workbenches that you have on the island. And the artifacts will be involved in collectible item crafting mechanic that will be introduced later on.
Gotcha. So what if I have like a bundle of keys or multiple keys? Am I able to give them away or trade them, or?
So the key bundle is designed in a bit unusual way. What it has in it is two keys, one of which is personal key, the other one is tradable key. And you can only buy a bundle on the sale. The reason for that is to make sure that the person who is buying the key bundle is actually planning to play the game himself, because you will only be able to trade one of two keys. So if you're not having plans to play the game by yourself, it would be not wise to buy the key bundle, because only one key is tradable. And this is to address some of the issues that players have addressed in questions regarding to the speculation of items that are granting access to the game. So since the main function of the key is to provide access, we don't want to see a lot of speculation about the prices of the keys, and this is how we are trying to address that. Also, I need to mention that only one key bundle would be allowed to be bought by each user, each account. So you won't be able to buy 5 bundles or 10 bundles, only one per person.
What about the Founders Islands? Are those only limited to one per person, or can you buy multiple? And if you have multiple, like say if you have 2 islands of the same rarity, will only one be active at once? How does that
Yeah,
work?
so on Founders Islands are improving your default island, and you can only have one default island that you have as a player base. So you will be able to activate only one of the Founders Islands. By default, if you have several of those, the most rare one will be used. But if you get rid of the others, you can define what island you'd like to have. Regarding the limit for purchase, we are thinking of limiting the rarest island to 1 per person. The limit for the other ones would be higher. So we will have 1 per person limit for legendary islands, and higher limit for other ones.
Will there be more batches of keys or islands for sale after this initial sale?
Yeah, so that depends. The keys will depend on the several factors. One being us being ready to increase the amount of players playing the game. Early access. One of the goals of early access is to validate core mechanics, core loops, economy, and other stuff. And to do that, we definitely need players playing the game. And as we move on, we will definitely be increasing the amount of players who have access. And the other one is, of course, demand. So if we will see that a lot of players are willing to have access to the game, we will be trying to satisfy this demand and provide supply for that by making additional keys available. But I cannot tell you how soon and what quantities would become available and when.
Understood. So how's the sale going to work? Is there going to be a whitelist for it, or is it just going to be like a first come first serve?
Since it's first sale, we could not think of any whitelist mechanic to implement. So this sale would be definitely first come first served, since it's the very first sale and just the start of early access. In this case, there will be no whitelists.
No whitelist, understood. Will there be rare islands sold?
Yeah, the rare islands are already in the sale list. If you can
Are all rarities going to be
specify
available
what
in the sale?
you mean, could there be other types of islands that are going to be available later, I guess. So yeah, you could expect islands of higher rarity being available later on. as well as the islands that are on sale right now the max issuance of these islands is higher than the amounts that are being put on sale. But most likely there will be no way to directly buy specific island of this kind in future sales. Maybe you will meet them in mystery boxes, or you will be able to get them as a reward for specific activity or or like some kind of event. But we do not expect these islands to appear in the future sales, at least in the foreseeable future.
Since there's no whitelist, do you guys anticipate having a potential problem with people like botting the sale, or do you guys have a plan to try to combat people trying to bot the sale?
So for that, to counter that, we are implementing the limits for the items that where it makes most sense, and we've been hearing concerns from players in that regard. So we're going to be looking at how the sale goes, and if we see any issues that are that prevent players from being able to access specific content on sale, we will be looking for ways to optimize that.
Will the big catch NFT also give early access at some stage?
No. Big Catch is premium decoration collectibles, and what they provide is for you, if you install this premium decor on your home island, it will increase comfort significantly higher than other items that you can build. So using premium decoration items, you effectively will be able to progress faster with your base development because it gives significantly higher amounts of comfort compared to other building blocks that you can use in the game.
And what about for people that want to participate in the sale, but it sells out too quickly? Are there going to be any other ways that they can kind of secure items to get involved?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we will have another sales going on after that, as well as we will be keeping close eye on the demand for access to the game. So we will also be making sure that the sales are designed in a way that allows fair chance for everyone to participate in it. And this is the first sale. We've made some adjustments to it in order to make sure that all players can participate. If we see any issues in future and ways how to optimize it, we will be implementing that in future sales for sure.
Do you guys have an ambassador program? And if not, do you guys plan on having one in the future?
Yeah, that's related to community plans. We do not have any ambassador program planned at the moment, but we are definitely going to announce it later and implement it. Similar to many other community activities. So a lot of them are gonna start as the early access will go live. So stay tuned. We have a lot of updates planned.
What other community activities do you guys have planned? You guys going to be doing like video content on like YouTube or live streams on Twitch or anything like that?
Yeah. We have planned some guides to be published on YouTube. Specifically, the first one is gonna go live is the guide regarding the how to get access to the game that will cover all technical aspects and all user journey from the point when you register an account, and we'll explain in details all the issues that you might encounter and how to launch the game, install it, make make use of the keys, and so on.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, I think that's the end of the early access and community questions we had, and we're 40 minutes over the hour. Do you guys want to wrap it up there, or how are you guys feeling?
Oh, actually, we have a lot of questions related to Web3 economy, and we can try to cover some of those in the during the time we have left. We definitely won't be able to cover all of them, but yeah, maybe we will be able to pick some of the questions that we see in the chat. Yeah, let me try to address some of the most often asked questions regarding the Web3 economy and answer them. And then I'll take a look at what questions we have coming from people who are watching us right now. So what items are going to be NFTs? That's one of the most often asked questions. So basically, we will have several types of collectible items that would be allowed to be traded on marketplace, on openloot, and potentially other marketplaces. Main of which being equipment items, which is your weapon, your armor, and your tools like axe that is used to cut trees, and pick that is used to mine ore. And these items are like collectible equipment items that you will be able to craft later on and upgrade, increase their stats, and so on. The other type of collectible items are premium decoration items, two of which were used for giveaway. These type of collectibles will be given away for different activities and as part of community events, as well as in the nearest update, premium decoration items will be added to loot tables in the game. So players playing early access will be able to obtain them in their like adventures exploring the world, and use them in game or put them for sale on marketplace. And also another type of collectible items are pieces of land, obviously. First of which being Founders Islands. But
I think I will be able to show you some of the items that we have. Actually.
Okay.
So some of the islands that we have, these are the pre-purchase islands, and this is the basic island slots. So everyone will have one of these, and they will look different in terms of landscape. I'm not sure if they're changing.
I think it's not working.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Let's leave it for later. Maybe we will need to post a review of Founder Islands on YouTube. That's a good idea. Talking about the content on YouTube. So yeah, pieces of land obviously will be another type of collectible items, and there are going to be more, but I will not spoiler that at this time. But we have more in plans. Also, another question.
You guys have any tokens or in-game currencies or anything like that?
Yeah, so we do have tokens, project token in plans. Token will be one of the main resources for the Web3 economy. It will be used for crafting collectibles. It will be used to for some other purposes, and it will be obtained by playing the game with some preconditions met. And you will require collectible items to obtain it for sure. Equipment items, collectible, I mean. So Any questions that you find important to cover apart from those?
Did you talk about the how, if the artifacts are going to drop in the game, and if they're an NFT, and kind of how the artifacts work?
Yeah, so the artifacts are items that you need to connect to your workbench in order to create or upgrade equipment collectible. So the workshops that Tom was showing us on your home location, they would allow you to craft regular items in game, but in order to craft collectible, you will need to have an artifact connected to it. Artifacts will become available later over the course of early access, and that's another type of collectible item that will have different rarities and will be involved in collectible crafting mechanic.
And for the land, I'm guessing you'll be able to like visit your friends' lands and go to other people's land and stuff too, right?
Yeah, of course, and that's actually one of the first functionality that we plan to implement that is related to multiplayer features. Because visiting your friends is one of the most exciting things that you can do in real life as well. So I guess in-game features, in-game features priority, it's already also one of the most anticipated ones.
Gotcha.
Okay, Tom, what's going on? You're building a maze?
I don't know. I'm just cooking, you know? I'm trying to figure out where this is going to take me. I'm not going to lie to you. I kind of just have been vibing with the base building. Every single time I come back to this element, it's come so far. So it's actually very enjoyable.
There are some good questions in the chat that we can answer. So exclusive loot in the alpha. Well, you can consider premium decoration being exclusive because some of those would be going away after the start of future milestones of the game. And yeah, one of the first updates that we will be having after the start of early access will be the one where premium decoration could be obtained in the game.
I think we've got most of the questions from the chat covered.
Yeah, so regarding the CAPTCHA to prevent bot purchases, we are in touch with openloot in that regard, and we are both concerned about this issue and are finding optimal solution how to address it. Not that will not affect regular players, and it might not be using CAPTCHA specifically, but by other means. But we're keeping close eye on how the sales are going, and we'll be probably implementing some new adjustments for the sale mechanics.
So you mentioned you guys are going to do a token. Is there going to be like a premium currency also? I could forgot.
Yeah, premium currency. Crystals that someone has been referring to in questions is a premium currency. So we will have premium currency in game in addition to the tokens. It could be obtained by via some activities in the game and as a reward for some activities in the game, as well as it will be available to purchase on openloot. But as we start early access, there will be no premium currency available right away. For some time, there will be no ways of speeding up your progress using premium currency. And that is one of the reasons for that is because we want to see how the game economy works out without any options to affect it by some speed ups or other ways.
Sure. Someone in the chat mentioned that the building system looks really smooth, and I totally agree. It looks really nice.
Yeah, thank you. We've been working hard on that, and we have a lot of improvements in plans, as well as you definitely can expect a lot of new content being available for base building functionality.
Yeah, I mean, one of the beautiful things with the modular system is that, like Andrew was alluding to, you can just add content, brew decorations and packs of building materials and differently styled roofs. It's really easy to build upon this. So right now we're just trying to get the basics to feel smooth. And I've lost countless hours just zoning out and building stuff. And I'm not even a good builder, you know, but I just find myself really enjoying this part of the game for sure.
I think you're doing great.
I mean, it's like one of these things that really helps with longevity of the game because it's a true player. It's a true player freedom, right? I don't know how Minecraft is never dying and everyone is just always making even crazier stuff, but it just goes to show that you make the fundamentals right, and then people will be able to take that in crazy new directions. It's really beautiful to see.
Yeah, 100%. It's
okay,
nice.
I see another question that I'd like
UGC can be turned into collectibles so they can keep forever.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, another question that I want to answer is like, is there a benefit of owning more than one island? So, yes, but as I mentioned earlier, owning more than one founder island makes little sense because you will be only able to use one of the founder islands. They are like modification of your default island that will be available to everyone. However, as we move on, there will be islands that you will be able to use in addition to that. And the main benefit of owning several pieces of land is increased capacity and increased amount of items and buildings that you can place there.
So, someone's asking if we mentioned how multiplayer works. Kind of went over that already earlier.
So, I mean, we mentioned it briefly, but as you can imagine, there are basically, the way I personally see it, let's call this the character progression and home building, right? You will have up to 10 people, and we're still in active discussions. So as you can imagine, there's going to be this central little island connected to 4 other ones, and people can, different islands have different capacities. We've already mentioned that there's different rarities, and these are Web3 tokens. You can trade them, but you can essentially make these livable spaces cohabitable, where someone might say, okay, this part of the island's mine, or someone says, you know what, I'm going to take imagine an island where I'm looking at, there's going to be another island attached to this thing, and say, this one's mine. So this is one way that you can play together. The second way is obviously when you saw me going on these adventures. Right now the number is 4. We're saying 4 players will be able to co-op, fight together. Someone can draw aggro, another person can sneak from behind. The third person can say, you know what, screw that, I'm not fighting, I'm just going to go around gathering stuff, picking up ore and cutting down trees. And the last multiplayer thing that I think I talked a little bit about was the main city. There's going to be many people there. I'm not even sure what the number is, but we're settling on quite high numbers because it's important for us to socialize in this game. So yeah, the city is going to be a social hub where you're going to see random people, not people that you invite into your island, not people that you party up with, but strangers, complete strangers that are just like you playing this game. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, and I think we've pretty much gone through most of the questions we had submitted and most of the questions we had in the chat. So I think we're ready to wrap it up for you guys are, but I'm definitely really excited to dive in here and be able to
we definitely need to host another session regarding Web3 economy because a lot of questions related to it were received, and we will definitely run out of time trying to answer all of them today. So yeah, stay tuned for next session announcements. We will definitely be hosting more of those. And thank you all for coming. I hope we managed to answer some of your questions you had. If not, we will try to address them later on or in chat. Yeah, just let us know if some of the questions you had are not answered. We will try to address them in text.
So, thanks, guys. Appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all, and have a great evening, morning, or day.
谢谢收看。